Right now in America, more than 25% of residents in major cities are thinking about leaving. Not because they want to, but because the numbers are pushing them out. Today we are running through a misery index countdown for 10 big United States cities, ranked by 3 things: violent crime rate, unemployment, and housing affordability. The higher the score, the worse the city is doing. Let's get into it, starting at number 10. Number 10 is San Jose, California. San Jose sits in the heart of Silicon Valley, the place that basically invented the modern tech industry. So you would think life there would be pretty good, right? Violent crime in San Jose has climbed roughly 20% since 2022. That means more robberies, more assaults, and more people feeling unsafe walking around their own neighborhoods. At the same time, unemployment is sitting near 5.8%, which is above the national average. This is surprising for a city surrounded by some of the richest companies on the planet. And then there is housing. The median home price in San Jose is over $1 million. The ratio of what people earn to what homes cost is one of the worst in the entire country. Even the engineers making 6-figure salaries are getting squeezed. For teachers, nurses, or firefighters, the housing math simply does not work. San Jose built its whole identity around innovation, but somewhere along the way, it priced out the very people who built it. Even the pigeons here are applying for tech jobs they cannot afford to commute to. That is number 10. Now let us move east to number 9, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is one of the oldest cities in America. It gave us the Liberty Bell, the cheesesteak, and now a masterclass in what not to do with a city budget. In several Philadelphia neighborhoods, the violent crime rate runs nearly 4 times the national average. This is a city with a serious public safety problem that the numbers have been flagging for years. Unemployment hovers around 6.2%, and nearly 40% of residents spend more than half their income just on housing. At half their income, that leaves almost nothing left for food, transportation, or saving for the future. Since 2020, Philadelphia has lost over 30,000 residents. That's a sustained trend of people deciding somewhere else makes more sense. When a city's population continues to shrink, it's a sign of bad times. Now here's where it starts to get more serious. At number 8 is San Francisco, California. San Francisco is one of the most famous cities in the world, and in one specific way, it might also be one of the most instructive. San Francisco shows what happens when a city gets everything it thinks it wants. It has tech money, global attention, and sky-high property values. But the city still manages to have serious problems. Car break-ins alone have exceeded 50,000 in recent years. Think about that for a second. 50,000 broken car doors and windows. The city has become a kind of open-air test of what happens when law enforcement collapses. Unemployment sits near 5.5%, which is remarkable for a place that calls itself a tech hub. And a 1-bedroom apartment will cost you over $3,700 a month. San Francisco has lost more than 7% of its population since 2020. That's tens of thousands of people who looked at the data and decided to leave. As someone once said, San Francisco is proof that you can be surrounded by billionaires and still not be able to afford a sandwich. Coming up at number 6 is a city that was once the car capital of the world. Now it can't even keep the lights on. Number 7 is Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore has a beautiful harbor. It really does. The problem is, the harbor is surrounded by a city that has been struggling for decades. The violent crime rate in Baltimore runs 4 times the national average, and it is one of the highest of any large city in the country. In some areas, police response times stretch long enough that residents have largely stopped expecting quick help. Unemployment sits near 6.5%. Nearly half of all renter households cannot afford to pay their rent. 30% of their income goes straight to rent before anything else gets paid. Over the past 2 decades, Baltimore has lost roughly 100,000 residents. That's not just a neighborhood shrinking, that's an entire mid-sized city worth of people who have left forever. Number 6 is Detroit, Michigan. Detroit invented the assembly line. Unfortunately, what it has been assembling lately is reasons to leave. The violent crime rate ranks among the top 3 highest of any major city. Unemployment is near 7%, which is nearly double the national average. And the average household brings in roughly $36,000 a year. That is nearly half the national median. Detroit's crime rate creates safety concerns, and it is ruining neighborhoods. When you add in struggling public services and schools and limited job opportunities, you have a recipe for people leaving. Since its peak population in 1950, Detroit has lost over 1 million residents. That number is almost hard to process. Number 5 is Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is a world-class city. Unfortunately, it costs about 3 world-class salaries to live there comfortably. And violent crime consistently ranks among the highest of any major city. Some neighborhoods see unemployment rates above 15%. Property tax bills for homeowners average over $10,000 a year. Chicago's residents are leaving largely due to high crime rates, rising taxes, high cost of living, and limited job growth. This combination is also resulting in struggling schools. These issues consistently drive population decline and push residents toward more affordable, safer cities. Over 81,000 residents have left since 2020. Boeing relocated its headquarters away from Chicago in 2022. The pattern here is clear. Number 3 on our list is about to make Chicago look mild. Number 4 is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee does not get talked about as much as Detroit or Chicago, but the data puts it firmly on this list. The violent crime rate is nearly 3 times the national average. Unemployment sits near 6.8%, which is one of the highest among Midwest cities. And here's the part that catches most people off guard. Over 45% of renters are struggling to pay rent, even though Milwaukee has relatively low home prices compared to coastal cities. The city has low rents, yet housing is still unaffordable. That tells you something important about how far wages have fallen behind. The city has lost roughly 20,000 residents over the past decade. Milwaukee is famous for beer and cheese. Sadly, that is about all the economy has remaining. The Misery Index does not care about reputation. It just reads the numbers, and the numbers here are pointing in the wrong direction. Number 3 is Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis gave the world Elvis and the blues. Right now, the city itself is singing the blues. Memphis ranks in the worst 2 cities in the United States for violent crime rate among all major cities, year after year. That's not a one-year anomaly. That's a scary problem for the city and its residents. Unemployment sits near 6.5%, well above the national average. The median household income is roughly $41,000 a year, which is 30% below the national median. Since 2020, Memphis has lost over 20,000 residents. When you combine the highest crime rates in the country with below-average incomes and steady population loss, you get a city that's declining quickly without any help in sight. Stay tuned for the city at the top of our list. This city makes every other city on this list look like a vacation destination. Number 2 is New York City, New York. New York is the financial capital of the world. It is also a city where more than 500,000 people have left since 2020. This is the largest population loss of any American city. New York is the city that never sleeps, mostly because no one can afford a bed. Over 125,000 violent crime incidents were reported in 2023 alone. Unemployment sits near 5.8%, higher than the national average despite the city's global economic status. A one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan will cost over $4,500 a month. The Bronx, often seen as the more affordable option, still runs above $2,200 a month. Every single metric on the Misery Index is pointed in the wrong direction for a city this size and this wealthy on paper. When 500,000 people leave a city, they are not all leaving because they found somewhere better. A lot of them are leaving because the city is forcing them out. Number 1 is Los Angeles, California. Violent crime in Los Angeles is up over 30% since 2020. Homicides and vehicle thefts are at all-time highs. Unemployment sits near 6.2%, consistently above the national average. The average home price is over $900,000, making it one of the least affordable housing markets in the entire country. Los Angeles has more than 70,000 homeless residents. It is the largest homeless population of any city in the United States. Los Angeles residents are primarily leaving due to extremely high living and housing costs, heavy tax burdens, and growing concerns over natural disasters and economic challenges, including wildfire risk and slower job growth. These pressures make more affordable states increasingly attractive. Over 70,000 people have left since 2020. Los Angeles is where dreams come to get a parking ticket, a $2,000 rent increase, and a homeless neighbor. These are the patterns hiding in plain sight across all 10 cities. What are your thoughts? Subscribe for more state and city breakdowns, and let me know in the comments which of these 10 surprised you the most.